Hello guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're going to be doing our wrap-up video for the month of May, and it might be shorter than usual because I had a huge reading slump this month. I basically failed at reading most of the series that I said I was going to read. I did read a lot of comic books though, so that might actually bump up the amount of time that this wrap-up takes back to a normal length. I'm not really sure, but we're going to be looking at films, we're going to be looking at comics, and we're going to be looking at manga because I didn't read any novels this month, even though I bought a bunch of them. So, yeah. Also, full disclosure, I'm recording this the night of the 30th, so I'm going to talk about some things that I am planning to finish reading / watching tomorrow to kind of finish up the wrap-up for May, but technically, I haven't actually read or watched them yet, although I will have by the time the video comes out, or actually by the time the June TBR video comes out, right? So, yeah, let's start with the films or the the audio-visual stuff. So, I watched the Young Jedi Adventure shorts, season 1 of them, I guess, or the only season of them, and I enjoyed them for what they were, but they're pretty childish because they are meant for children. And so I wasn't super invested in them, but I liked some of the characters, and generally I thought that it was pretty cute. I don't think I'm going to watch the actual full 30-minute long Young Jedi Adventure show episodes because I don't really care about them. And I'm not really going to subject myself to watching something that is for little children just to say that I watched it for the channel or because it's Star Wars, right? So I'm not going to watch that, but I did enjoy the little 5-minute shorts. They were kind of a good way to, have something in the background while I was eating, during my my early days of the month. So, yeah. Then I watched Star Wars Visions Volume 2, and I really think I enjoyed this in general. I think I enjoyed the first season a little bit more than this one, because I like anime more than, general animation. However, I think that the kind of value that was being portrayed through these through the episodes of the season was a little bit higher, in the sense that, like, the first one was more or less just like going over generic Star Wars beats with this veneer of anime. And generally speaking, you could say the same thing about season 2, but they also kind of had a few things that felt like they tied into Star Wars: The High Republic. Like, basically the way that in every episode, more or less, the Force was seen differently by every person. Like, in the first episode, it was via paint. And then in Owl Song, the last episode, it was via music. And that's more or less the only part I really love about the High Republic, and seeing that reflected across a modern interpretation of Star Wars felt really cool. So I quite like that. And also just the kind of cultural thematics that were included also felt pretty interesting. So I did like it, and I think I liked the first season more. But if I were to rank all the episodes, I feel like more episodes from season 2 would be higher up on the list than episodes of season 1. So I don't know if that makes sense. The point is that I liked it, and generally I was pretty invested in the stuff that was happening there. And my favorite one was the Studio Mir one, which was Journey to the Dark Head, and then probably Sky Dancer or Spy Dancer, I think it was what it was called. And then I liked Owl Song, even though I didn't like the animation style, because it was like these like felt stop motion animation thingies. But I really liked the story of it. And then I don't really remember the name of any of the other ones. So there you go. That's Star Wars Visions. Then I watched Knights of the Zodiac, the Japan / Hollywood movie that was recently released. That I honestly probably didn't do that well here in the US because there was zero, like literally none advertisement for the series or for the movie, even though if it was marketed for children, for enthusiasts of Power Rangers and martial arts movies, it would have probably drawn a pretty good crowd, because it is more or less something akin to Shang-Chi, and Shang-Chi was a pretty good movie that I think a lot of people enjoyed. Because one, it was kind of different from everything else in the MCU, but also it managed to kind of have that like superhero vibe with a lot of Asian inspiration. And Knights of the Zodiac more or less felt like that. Was it a little bit clunky here and there? Yes. Was the kind of interaction or the characterization of Seiya and Sienna, or Saori, their relationship a bit clunky or a bit fast or a little too wishy-washy? Yes, but I also think that is more or less how they interact initially in the manga, and it is reflected in the movie. It's fine. I don't know. I have no issues with the movie in terms of like how it adapted things. Honestly, at this point, a few weeks removed from it, I think it's a pretty good movie. I would watch it again. I would actually even buy it, and I might even pay full price for it, because overall, I do think I liked it, even if it wasn't the best movie ever. The fact that it's Saint Seiya and the fact that it was not a horrible movie is a lot, it means it has a lot going for it, because in terms of anime adaptations, this might be one of the better ones. So, yeah, that's my feelings on Knights of the Zodiac. It kind of has evolved since I initially watched the movie, so there you go. Then I watched this movie called Mother on Netflix. It's with J-Lo. I found it to be okay. Thinking back on it now, I don't think I would watch it again out of my, own volition. Maybe if my mom or my sister wanted to watch it again, I might say, okay, sure. But I would never go out of my way personally to watch it. It was kind of I don't know, J-Lo was trying to be like some sort of like John Wick, Lone Wolf and Cub thing, and it didn't really, it wasn't that good, but it wasn't that bad. It was just kind of like, okay, this is a good way to waste 2 hours. I'm happy with the results, but I wouldn't really care too much about it after that, right? So, yeah. Then I watched the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I watched the first 3, which are the only good Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And actually, they're really amazing movies overall. They're really, really good. They have great music. The CGI for 2 and 3 specifically stands out really well and still kind of matches or looks good, matches modern stuff, or looks kind of good enough to be lumped in with modern stuff. Specifically, Davy Jones, he looks so good. However, I do feel that maybe it was the mood I was in while watching them or something, but a lot of the awesome scenes that I think I love, that I always mention that I love about Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, didn't hit as hard this time, and I don't know why it was. However, movie 2, the Dead Man's Chest, definitely continued to be one of my favorite movies ever, and definitely my favorite Pirates of the Caribbean movie. But I really, really enjoyed it overall. I had a lot of fun watching these movies with my family, and they were really, really good. Then I watched Dungeons and Dragons. I watched this with my family since it was on Paramount, and continues to be a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. My favorite scene is definitely the one with the fat dragon that's on that poster there. And then we went to an Astros game. It's technically not a movie or a show or anything like that, but it was an audiovisual, like, be entertained by this thing that's happening in front of you kind of experience, and it was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. The one thing that I didn't love, though, is that the seats in the stadium are like this big, and I am obviously about twice as large as that, so it was pretty uncomfortable. My hips and my lower back kind of hurt for a few days after that, but it was definitely well worth it. The food at the stadium was really good, even if it was a little bit overpriced. And the experience that I had watching the Astros play against the Athletics, I guess, the A's, I think it was the A's, was awesome. And then, because we went on a Friday, they also had a fireworks show afterwards. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed my time there, even if my body didn't really fit in the seats. But overall, the Astros game was really, really awesome. It was my first time that I went to a game that I was conscious of for like a major league. I've been to a few other games. One of the areas near where I live, called Sugarland, and down in Houston, had a stadium for their team, which is called the Skeeters. And I remember my school, for some reason, had like friends at that place, and so we would get tickets for the Skeeters games pretty often. So I went 2 or 3 times to watch the Skeeters play. But it's not the same thing when you're there just watching some some low-end team that doesn't really matter, compared to watching, you know, the team that basically most of Texas baseball fans kind of rally around, right? So it was pretty interesting. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun, and I would definitely go watch them again. I live in Dallas right now, so maybe in July when they play against the what are the people from Arlington called? The Rangers, I think is what they're called. When they play them in July, maybe I'll go watch them. I don't know. But yeah, then I watched Conan the Barbarian, the 1982 movie, and it's pretty ridiculous, but I like some of it. Like, honestly, Arnold Schwarzenegger looks awesome as the part, even though Conan in the movie is more like a dumb brute that doesn't really do anything himself. It is mostly things happen to him and he kind of goes with the flow. He does have some elements of character, like he does want revenge on Tulsa Doom and stuff, but broadly speaking, he kind of ends up getting revenge because of a series of lucky events, basically. The best part about the movie was definitely Valeria, who was, one, a gorgeous actress, but also probably the best character that was in that movie, and also a pretty good example of like a strong female character that also happens to remain feminine and not kind of shed that aspect of herself in order to fit in the strongman role, right? So I really liked that character a lot. There's also a lot of TNA in that movie. Sometimes it was like unnecessary, and so I was like, this isn't really fun to watch. It's kind of just like, if I was 13, this would be epic, but because I'm not, it's pretty like unnecessary. It just felt like there was no point in having this happen, right? But it was a pretty cool movie, and I started watching the second one, Conan the Destroyer, and I think I'm an hour into that movie, and it's only an hour and 40 minutes, so I will finish it before tomorrow, and I'll do a review for the two Conan movies sometime next weekend, or this weekend, I guess, to kind of talk about them. And then if I can, I'll watch the Red Sonja movie, and then the 2011 Conan the Barbarian movie, the one with Jason Momoa, because right now I feel like talking about Conan, I guess. And I'll probably end up buying the Del Rey Conan editions, like the ones that collect all of the Robert E. Howard things. They kind of look like this, actually. I have one here. Let me see if I can pull it out. Let's see. Where is it? This one. Oh, no, it's not this one. Here we go. This edition, they have one for basically all of the Robert E. Howard heroes. This one is Cole, but there is 3 of them for Conan. There's Coming of Conan, which is the first one. Then Conan the Cimmerian, and then I think the last one is Conan, King Conan or something like that. I don't remember, but you know, I'll probably end up buying the first Conan one of these here soon, because I feel like enjoying Conan, and also the Conan comic book is about to start up. So I kind of want a little bit more about Conan before I jump into it. So, yeah, Conan the Barbarian, 2 cool movies. I really enjoyed them. And they're not the best movies, but I will review them and talk about them in more depth. So I'm going to stop right there. So, yeah, that's it for that. There is no novels this month because I didn't read any. I don't know. My reading slump really stopped me from enjoying most things. And honestly, the only reason why I read so many comic books this month is because the first few days of May, when Free Comic Book Day happened, was before my reading slump. And then right now, I'm kind of finally getting over it. And I had a big pile of comic books, and I was like, okay, I can't leave these unread. So let me just pull through and kind of push through. And I managed to read 2 or 3 comic books a day for the last week. And so I managed to get through all of my comic books that I was reading, right? So, yeah, let's get started here. Let's start with the Free Comic Book Day ones. So that should be this pile. So some of these are old that I got from one of my local stores because they were just giving out, you know, whatever they had. And some of them happened to be from years past. So I think this one is new. This is Mech Cadets. This one is pretty interesting, actually. I don't think I'm going to buy the comic book, but I was interested enough in this story to probably watch the Netflix show. So when it comes out, if I watch it, I'll review it. This one is the oldest one I got. This was from 2017. It wasn't too bad. The art here is pretty cool, but I really don't care about Valiant or AW Upshot or 2000 AD. I don't really care about that side of the indie comic books, so I'm not really going to check it out. Then this one here from Aftershock was We Live the Last Days, and I didn't really care about this one, although the premise initially seemed interesting. It was just a lot of reading, like a lot of text, and not enough happening to keep me entertained. This Witcher one with the Umbrella Academy was pretty mid. I didn't really care too much about it. Even though I am interested in the Witcher story, you know, it was only like 5 pages compared to the Umbrella Academy one. And so it wasn't really enough for me to be invested, but the art style was pretty cool, even though it is kind of different from what I usually like. Then we have this Star Wars The High Republic and Avatar, and I didn't care about either of these at all. This one was from Dark Horse, yeah, I give 0 fucks about this one. So yeah, definitely not going to pick up any of the High Republic stuff. This one was fine. Street Fighter, it was okay. I liked previous year's Street Fighter free comic books quite a bit more. There wasn't really anything happening here that I was interested in, so yeah. And then this one is Uncanny Avengers. This one was pretty cool, actually. I really enjoyed the introduction of this like Axolotl man, it's pretty interesting, but I don't care about the X-Men. Like realistically, I don't care about them. And I'm pretty sure they had an event just like this last year, and they've been having events for the last like 5 years. And I don't really care enough to get into it and then have the status quo of the story change on me, you know, consistently every 6 months. So I'm not gonna read that. We have Spider-Man and Venom, and honestly, I don't remember what was in this, and I don't think I cared. I think the first story, the Spider-Man story, had Craven, and it looked cool. I think it was Dan Moore that was drawing this. No, apparently it's someone Gleason. Let me check, because I really did like the artwork here. I just didn't feel like reading any Spider-Man after I kind of didn't enjoy it when I was reading Spider-Man, right? So let's see. I can't see where it is. I can't see the credits here. So maybe in the back. Yeah, the artist was Patrick Gleason, and he did a really good job here. So let me show you the scene that I was thinking about here that I liked quite a lot. The way that looks is just awesome. I really like that. So yeah, but I didn't really remember anything else that happened in that book. This one was fine. I didn't really care too much, like positively or negatively. And I think the art style for this one is actually similar to the movie that's coming out, or that came out a few years ago on Netflix. I don't really remember, but it was fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. It was just kind of whatever. Dawn of DC and Night Terror Special Edition. I actually wanted the Dawn of the DC primer, but I couldn't get it physically, so I ended up getting it digitally, and it was fine. And this one was okay too. I like the design elements here that are shown. Here, let me just put the other stuff down and show you what I'm talking about. But I don't really get the point of this. Didn't they just do death metal and stuff like that recently? This Wonder Woman one looks awesome though. I really like that one. And let's see. Yeah, I don't care about Black Adam. I don't like that one. But some of these covers look really cool. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, it just feels really edgy. You know, like I get it, DC is edgier than Marvel, but come on, it doesn't have to be that edgy, right? Power Rangers Academy was probably one of the better ones I read, but I don't really want to collect this because I don't really feel like reading a spin-off story to Power Rangers before I get into the Power Rangers comic book. And I'm not going to buy the Power Rangers comic book until I find a lot of them for cheap, because I don't want to spend that much on them. So yeah. Then we have The Sacrificers. I really like this one, actually. I actually solicited the first issue, and if I like it, I'll ask my store to pick up the rest of it. But this one was pretty interesting. I like the art style, And it's supposed to be a sci-fi story, but everything about it feels fantasy. So I'm not really sure there. It's a Rick Remender story, and I like quite a few Rick Remender stories, even if I haven't really finished any of them. So I'm excited to see where that goes. And then there's RuneScape, and this one was pretty cool. I thought the artwork was pretty interesting as well. But I don't think I'm invested in RuneScape. I don't even know what it is. I think it's a video game or an RPG thingy revolver, like, you know, a rule set. But, you know, it was fine. And then these are the three important ones here. We have Conan the Barbarian, issue 0. This one was really, really good. I liked it a lot. I really liked that cover. Then we have Red Sonja. This one was also pretty good. I quite liked it. And, well, they managed to bring me back. Even though I said I was not going to buy any more Red Sonja stories after Unbreakable, I am going to get back into Red Sonja. So, who knows? I will be a lot more strict about it, you know, like saying, okay, I'm not liking this, let me stop collecting it. And hopefully that helps me out a little bit. So, and then the Frazetta-verse one, 2 stories here that were interesting. One of them was not. So the one that was interesting was the one that relates here, because it was a secondary introduction to the Norsemen, and it was also kind of a recap for what was going on in the story. And then the Mothman one was actually an introduction to Mothman and how he reaches Earth, and how it's kind of like a situation where there's a lot of miscommunication, and so he gets hunted. And then the Dawn Attack one was just a rehash of the first few pages of the Dawn Attack comic book. So yeah, that's it for the free comic book day stuff. Let's look at the normal comic books that I have here. So this should be Shazam. This one was fine. I don't like the ending though, so I don't think I'm going to collect it. I really love this cover though. It's very, very good. Then we have Green Arrow number 2 and Green Arrow number 1. And I really like this a lot, actually. I had been trying to wean myself off DC titles. I was actually almost done collecting the last DC title that I was collecting. And I was trying very hard not to get into the Titans one. But I ended up seeing this during Free Comic Book Day. There was a sale, so I got this and a few other things, including that Shazam one. Well, I really liked it, and Green Arrow is one of my favorite characters. You know, I'd probably say it's Green Arrow, then Batman, then Wonder Woman, probably. And, you know, it's because of the Arrow show, whether you guys think it's a good show or not. It was one that was really important to me growing up, between the ages of 12 and 16. I really liked the Green Arrow, and so this was a really good comic book that introduced, you know, Green Arrow again, but also all of his family and all of the things and people that are attached to him. And I really liked it a lot. So I'm very excited about this. And I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be a 6-issue series, but because so many people ordered it, they actually turned it into a 12-issue series. So fingers crossed it's good, because I really like it. And I hope it continues to be enjoyable. So yeah, then we have Dawn Attack number 4. This one was pretty good. I quite liked it. But I think it's just time for it to be over, and it will be in the next issue, so hopefully it's done and there's no more Dawn Attack after that. I really like these covers, and I like the artwork inside. Diego Yapur does a really good job, but the story is not as good as I thought it would be, but it's not particularly bad. It's kind of like a post-apocalyptic story where they kind of need this technology, but they don't have access to it because the access to it was lost during the fall of their civilization. And, you know, Dawn, the main character, goes off to find her father, to find access to the technology. And she returns, sadly, but with a possible solution. And it's pretty cool. I quite like it. It just, I feel like there should have been more to it. And they could have probably leaned into the way that the characters are drawn to kind of characterize him a little bit more, instead of just kind of making a generic character and generic plot for the story, right? So, yeah, maybe that's just a me thing, though. Then we have Death Dealer. This one's number 12. This one was the start of the new arc. And so far, this issue was fine, but I feel like my interest in Death Dealer is a little bit kind of waning, but the story's about to end, so I'm going to continue reading it. But mostly my interest is not as high because Barbaric has been doing more or less the same type of plot line and I feel like Barbaric is doing it much better. And I'm actually a little bit more invested in the side characters in Barbaric than in Death Dealer. So, you know, it's more of the fact that there's 2 books running that are almost the same makes one of them seem better than the other, and that's kind of how it's going. But I think that in vacuum, if I saw them each individually, I would like both of them about the same. Barbarella number 3. This is almost done, so I'm going to finish collecting it, even though I'm honestly not as interested in this part of the story as I was in the previous one. But, you know, it's fine. It's not that big a deal. I will finish it just for the sake of completion. I probably will get another one. So, yeah, then we have Vanish number 7. This one was really, really good. I quite enjoyed it. And there's finally substance to the story, which is good because mostly was style before. No One was really good as well. This one is issue 3. I really like the covers for this. They look really, really cool, even if they have giant text in front of them. We finally get to see No One, the actual character, not just this kind of like mystery, murderer. So I'm very excited to see where this goes. And I like that a lot. So yeah, then we have Dead Romans number 3. And this one is awesome. Continues to be really cool. It's really good because even though I basically know the general premise of the story, since it's very similar to Barbarians and to some historical fiction and historical text that I've read before, the fact that I'm continuously interested in it is, shows that there's a lot of good writing here. And also, I really love the art style here. It's very, very cool. It kind of feels impressionistic, and there's a lot of square feeling to it, but it's really, really good. So, yeah. Then we have Mighty Barbarians, and this was probably my second favorite comic book that I've read this month, or actually third. So it would be one of the Supermassive books, then Green Arrow number 1, and then this one. And I really like this story. Michael Moresi is doing a really great job with these, with Barbaric and with Mighty Barbarians. And I really like the art style here as well. It shows off the characters really, really well. And it's really interesting to see Cole, instead of, Conan or some other generic barbarian character, be the main character or the main kind of leader character in the story. So yeah, then we have The Last Barbarians. I'm very happy this is about the end because it finally got good, but it's a little bit too late. And I'm going to collect the last issue, or the second to last issue, and the last issue, and then I'm not going to collect any of this stuff anymore. And I'm going to stay away from the artist here because I think his name is Haberlin. His art style is really, really confusing to me. Like, sometimes it looks awesome and very cool, and sometimes I'm just like, this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. And the fact that I flip-flop, it's very, very difficult to kind of parse for me in my brain. So yeah, then we have Lord of the Jungle number 5. I really enjoyed this issue quite a bit. It reminds me a lot of a specific part of the first Tarzan novel when Tarzan and the French guy, I forgot his name, John something, I think, become friends, and they're kind of stuck in this position where they're having to deal with his injury. And I don't know why, because the scenes that happen in that comic book are very, very different. But something about the camaraderie between these two men that are finding themselves in very difficult positions kind of resonated across this, and it also resonated across that initial encounter between Tarzan and, I want to say John DuPont, but I think that's wrong. So, if you guys are Tarzan fans, let me know down in the comments what his name is, because I always forget it. But he's a very important friend to Tarzan, right? So, then we have the Invisible Iron Man number 5. I got this for the cover. I didn't really care about the issue. I read the section that had, what's her name? Emma Frost. I read that section, and then I stopped caring about the rest of it, so I moved on pretty quickly. But I love this cover a lot, and I'm probably going to get it framed because Iron Man is one of my favorite MCU characters, and I quite like Emma Frost in concept since she's so hot. So, yeah, we'll leave it at that with that one. And then Moon Knight number 23. I hate this cover. It's probably the worst, Moon Knight cover I have, but I like the issue. I thought it was good. That is the last Moon Knight book that I'm going to collect, and I might end up trade waiting and picking up the rest of the story through trades or through an omnibus at some point, but it was just kind of dragging a bit, and I don't really care too much about what's going on, even though I feel like I'm going to regret that because they're finally doing an event for Moon Knight, and it's going to happen this year. And the fact that I dropped Moon Knight right before the stuff that leads into his event started happening kind of makes me feel sad, because I could have been in the moment. But it's been 2 years, and I don't feel like I'm that invested in what's currently happening. But I really enjoyed the beginning of the story. I kind of didn't love the middle, and I quite liked the last few chapters that were kind of not super Moon Knight focused, because I really enjoyed the side characters of Moon Knight. But it was time for me to step away, and I'll probably end up reading the rest of the, what's his name? Jed McKay, I think I want to say. The rest of his Moon Knight run later on in life, right? So, yeah. And then we'll finally finish off here with some super massive stuff, or some massive verse stuff, and one not super massive stuff thing, but something that kind of just, I feel it kind of fits in here, even if it has nothing to do with them, because, I don't know, it just kind of does. Since all of these are like odd comic books, they're not normal floppies. So we have Supermassive 2023. This is the last comic book I read this month, and it was good, but it was nowhere as good as Supermassive 2022. However, I do like the more fantasy-centric story here. I think it was less well executed compared to this one. Although, Dead Lucky looks so good in this issue. Not even gonna lie, she's amazing. Let me see if I can pull it up so you guys can see. And I kind of don't like that they made her look so cool, because going back to the original story, I'm gonna be like, why does Vivi not look like this in her own story, right? But I think that I like the original Dead Lucky story, and I like the mechanical design in that one. So I can take Vivi looking like a 60-year-old in that comic book, and only have her look badass and yoked and shit in the crossovers. But I really like how this artist drew her, and she looks so good. So yeah. And then I read Inferno Girl Red 1, 2, and 3 again, just to kind of do a review for it. And I really actually enjoyed it a lot more this time than when I was reading them individually. I think that ultimately comic books are best binged, but also I like the monthly achievement that I get from buying them individually. So I don't know. I also just if I trade wait, I'm gonna get over the fact that I'm interested by the time the trade comes out. So I'm never gonna check them out. So I feel like, because I want to be interested in comic books, the only way for me to actively do that is to be interested in buying them individually, even though that is more expensive, it's more hassle and stuff like that. Because otherwise, I would hear about this, and then I would just never want to buy it. Because I'd be like, okay, I can spend $20 on this one comic book, or I can spend $10 on this manga. Although, honestly, at this point, maybe manga's not going to be $10 anymore, because Viz is raising prices. But, I don't know. It doesn't matter. That's not the point of this video. The last comic book here is The Forge. This is actually the end of the first volume. Felt a little bit abrupt, honestly, but it comes back in September or October or something. Let me see where it says. The first volume is actually in stores September 6th, and September 27th is when the next issue of the story begins. And I'm very excited about that, because I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really cool. It kind of has a little bit of a vibe like Dune, a little bit like Halo, a little bit like Warhammer, a little bit like, what's the one with chainsaws? Gears of War and stuff like that, and I quite like it. I also just love the colors on this. It's so cool. And muscly, super buff chicks is also really cool. So yeah, The Forge was pretty awesome. I'm very happy about that. I'm gonna read all 3 of the issues again and do a review for them sometime this month, and hopefully you guys enjoy that when it comes out. So yeah, somehow I've managed to make it 35 minutes into this video, even though I haven't talked about manga yet, and the manga section is going to be pretty small here. So let's get into it now and finish off this video, because honestly I feel like every month they get longer and longer, and they really shouldn't. So yeah, just a quick mention though, I did say I didn't read any novels. That is not actually correct. I read about 35 pages of this, 42 pages, and I DNF'd it because I did not enjoy how this was written. However, I am going to keep it because I like that it has illustrations. So This is going to be a book that I'm never going to read because I just don't like how it's written. So maybe I'll talk about it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I don't really feel like doing so. So yeah, I read 6 manga this month, which is horrible because I had like 50 manga on my list for the month. So starting off with Breaking of Kings. This is the French edition. I actually can't read French. I found out that found that out the hard way when I tried to read this, and I understood about half of it. But realistically, that is very difficult to enjoy when you have to look up everything that is being said constantly, right? So what I did instead is just read it via scans on MangaDex, and basically just make sure that I own the issue or the volume before I read it that way, because I want to support the author. And I don't want to buy the digital English editions because they just seem sketchy, even though they're, corrected. So yeah, I don't know. Overall, I really enjoy this, even though the art style is a little bit wonky. You get used to it, and then you kind of enjoy it because the story is just so good, right? I just have a soft spot for Boji because I really like the anime, right? So yeah, overall, very good stuff. I did a review for it already, so you guys can check that out. And I read Hotel. This is a short story anthology for Boichi. It's very, very good. This is in Spanish, though, and it's probably the last book in Spanish that I'm from Spain that I'm going to be able to buy here for the foreseeable future. So that kind of sucks. It's a little bit bittersweet, but it was an overall pretty good one. My favorite story here was probably Everything for Tuna, which is the third story here, and it's about what happens when tuna disappears from the world, and there's this crazy scientist that kind of changes the world, creates life, and does all this stuff just to bring back tuna, and he kind of fails upwards in a pretty interesting way. I also liked Hotel, the initial story. It kind of felt like iRobot or like Wall-E, and I really like that. So there you go. Overall, very good. I did a review for it already, so you guys can check that out. And I read this giant honker of a book here, Kamen Rider, because I'm going to go watch the Kamen Rider movie tomorrow, today if you're watching it the day this releases, with my buddy, with my roommate, and some of his friends. And I wanted to see what the original Kamen Rider was like, right? So technically, the original Kamen Rider was the TV show, and this is an adaptation of that. But it was pretty interesting. I quite liked it. It reminded me a lot of stuff that I've seen in Kamen Rider Black Sun, but it has that kind of like 70s kiddie vibe, and I thought it was fun and interesting, even though it wasn't like my favorite thing ever. Like, I would rate this a 3 out of 5, but I would reread it again because I like Kamen Rider. The one thing that I didn't love was the way that the character shifted from one to the other kind of abruptly, although I think this is because in the TV show, the original Kamen Rider was injured, and so they had to bring in a secondary actor, and they had to kind of make way, like make some stupid story to make it work. And so the manga decided to do that as well. So I think that's what happened there, but I liked it. I thought it was fun, even though it's not my favorite. It kind of falls in line with all the other classics manga that I have on the shelf, right? So yeah. And then finally, Crazy Food Truck. So I have read the first 2 before, and I'm going to reread them again. The only one I haven't read is actually the third one, and I'm going to read this one tomorrow, as of recording this video, and then I'll do a review for it over the weekend. Probably, actually, maybe I'll do it for Friday. And Crazy Food Truck is pretty interesting. I quite like it, and I'm very happy to have finished collecting it, actually. But I'm curious to see how it's going to end, because I'm not sure if it was intended to be a short story. I'm pretty sure that's what I heard, but also the mangaka might have said that to save face, and also to make it so that fans wouldn't complain to the editorial staff, right? So I don't know, but I'm pretty interested to see how it ends, because there's been a lot of world building / like character tension developed, and I'm not sure that it's going to be able to pay off in one volume. So we'll see, but I'll tell you guys when I do a review for it. So there you go. That's my wrap-up video for the month. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know your thought. Let me know what you guys read this month. And sorry we didn't really have a big manga section this month. I just had a reading slump. And broadly speaking, novels and manga are the first to go because they contain so many more pages than, comic books and other random stuff, right? So, yeah. That's just kind of how it went this month. And I'm kind of sad about it. I really would have liked to read more, but I just wasn't able to. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys later.